Bradford West Gwillimbury Local History Association on the occasion of the 200th anniversary of the settlers arrival. If they would bring greetings. And first, I'd like to ask Dan Scott, who is here from the Presbyterian Church.
Thank you, Janet. And it's your birthday too, right?
Oh!
No. I heard rumors. Well, let me bring greetings on behalf of the Presbyterian Church, and I'm delighted to be part of this event. If you were to read Margaret Atwood's book, Alias Grace, she talks about Richmond Hill Presbyterian Church and the cemetery that's situated there, and it figures prominently in the novel. But this Presbyterian Church and this cemetery predates that in significant ways, and one of the original persons that assisted with the spiritual care of the church is mentioned in one of the histories of the Presbyterian Church in Canada, and this gentleman's name, I believe, is James Sutherland, who was in the Red River before the settlers were forced to come back to this part of Upper Canada. And he migrated and made it here in 1818 and provided spiritual care, baptisms, and the Lord's table, and those kinds of things. The history suggests that he was not seminary educated and wasn't properly set aside. And they wondered how he had authority to baptize, and some theories are that he was granted permission by the Earl of Selkirk himself or from a presbytery back in Scotland. But in any event, he provided that spiritual care the first couple of years. The congregation was erected, and I have the extract of minute for that in 1822, and it says, by summary, West Gwillimbury, January 6, 1822. January 6, 1822. That's freezing. The Presbyterian Church congregation was constituted by the William Jenkins, Presbyterian minister of Markham and Scarborough, and 14 persons were original members in full communion, and it's signed by the clerk of the Presbytery, who I assume was back in Scotland. But congratulations to all those who have descent from the Scotch settlers, and always significant to celebrate the 200-year anniversary. Thank you.
Very much, Dan. Now I'd like to ask Nancy, if you wouldn't mind. Carolyn Mulrooney couldn't come today. She sent her regrets, but Nancy has her greetings for us.
Greetings from your member of Provincial Parliament. Congratulations on the Auld Kirk 200th anniversary. I am honored to offer my sincerest congratulations as you celebrate the bicentennial of the founding of the Scotch Settlement. The Auld Kirk historic site is a strong foundation to our local agricultural heritage. May we all continue to reflect on the Highland Scots who traveled to Canada and settled Auld Kirk. Please accept my heartfelt congratulations and best wishes on this historic anniversary. Caroline Mulrooney, MPP for York South.
Mayor Rob Keffer, if he has any words of greetings. I'm going to go over there. I'm not going up there on this.
On behalf of the town of Bradford West Gwillimbury, it's a pleasure to be here this afternoon, and I am joined by members of the council, Deputy Mayor James Leduc, Councillor Ron Orr, Gary Baines, Mark Antoine, Gary Lamb. And this is a historic time, 200 years since the Scotch settlers came to this area. And when you think back to the hardships that they had to go through, And so well documented by Miriam. Thank you, Miriam, for and Jan for the documentation. And the one thing that struck me, there was 14 Scott families and 3 Irish families that formed the Auld Kirk community. And I think that's the accepting and the diverse way that our town has been built over the years, and still to this day, that we are a diverse and accepting community. We had the Lieutenant Governor come and visit our municipality April the 16th of this year, and one of the highlights was to bring Elizabeth down as well, her honor, out here to the Auld Kirk, and we presented her with a photograph that was done by our FONA, and she was really pleased. She sent a thank you, and she said that it would be hung with pleasure at Queen's Park, and it sort of brought home the struggles and the history that our community had, but how we were growing and how we are a thriving community at this time, and that we have the future in our grasp. So thank you to the Bradford West Gwillimbury Local History Association for putting this on today. You've gone to an awful lot of work, the displays that really hits home, the history that is so important to us. I spent a little bit of time in the cemetery searching out William Sutherland, the farm that I live on. 1850 was William Sutherland's farm. And I noticed his gravestone there. He was born in 1815. His first wife passed away in 1849, I believe, and that he remarried and he lived to be 89 years old. So that was something that I found very interesting today, and it hits home in many ways that the local community is so indebted to the hard work of the Scotch settlers in this area. So thank you for inviting us, and it's a great afternoon, and we're all sure to be a little wiser after the day. So thank you, Jan, and thank you, everybody.
There's someone else here I would like to call upon now, Ted Duncan, from the president of the Selkirk County History Association.
My name is Ted Duncan, I'm president of the County Historical Association, and I bring greetings and congratulations from our county association board. You can be very proud of the stories of Bradford West Gwillimbury Historical Association who have organized this 200th anniversary. They and we are celebrating the extraordinary perseverance, endurance, and hard work of the first Scotch settlers who came to what is now Simcoe County to build homes for themselves and barns for their livestock. We are reminded that those people who traveled so far to come here built the foundation of the community we see now. Your Community Historical Association is also celebrating their own work to protect the history of this town. I started by saying you should be proud, but I also say you should be thankful for what they have done and continue to do. Please get involved and join us and support the Bradford West Gwillimbury Historical Association in their quest to preserve our county's history. Thanks for inviting me and to this proud celebration.
Thank you very much, Ted. As you all can see, there's a marquee outside, there's refreshments, and a lot of information about local families there. Please feel free. There are lovely pins that the town provided for the 200th anniversary. They're free. You're welcome to have some. And there are some brochures out there with information about the Scotch Settlement in case you're not terribly familiar with them. This year seemed like an absolutely perfect time that we made a fun. to put names of people who've been special friends of the Scotch Settlement in the Auld Kirk over the years. The names we put on the plaque are Eleanor Reed, George Jackson, Ruby and Murray Ferris, Josephine Wilcox Mills, and Vera Stoddard. You're going to hear more about Eleanor Reed in a few minutes, but Eleanor Reed was a direct descendant of a Sutherland family. She did a lot of research back in the days with no computers, and you had to go to the archives to find her information. She formed this Scotch Settlement Historical Association. I believe it was in 1977. Yes, and she was a wonderful member and promoter of her community. Murray Ferris was also a direct descendant of the Ferris family on whose original farm that this church is built upon. Murray looked after the cemetery for many years here. He's now passed away, and he and his dear wife Ruby are buried in the cemetery. Ruby also served on the Scotch Settlement Historical Association for many years. George Jackson. George Jackson did not grow up here. He wasn't descended from any of the original settlers, but he lived on a farm that was. He became very interested in their story. He was instrumental in several history projects. He liked to get them started, but he made sure they got done. Josephine Wilcox Mills also did much research back in the day. Vera Stoddard came to West Gwillimbury as a bride. She married Wilson Stoddard. Wilson and Leila Lloyd, who are both here today, are direct descendants of the earliest Stoddard family that arrived here in 1817. Vera served in many capacities on the Scotch Settlement History Association, and then they merged with Bradford, and she still continued to serve. Vera passed away this past February, and we really miss her a lot. These are the names on this plaque. It says, in recognition of dedicated service to the Auld Kirk and the Scotch Settlement community. Now I'd like to call upon some descendants.
Who Tian Perez, Mohan Siraka, Gabriel Squad, and good afternoon. My Gaelic is not very good, so I'll tell you what I say. Thank you for coming to the Auld Kirk, my eternal resting spot. My name is George Bannerman, born in 1793, formerly of Kildonan, Sutherlandshire, Scotland. I came to the Red River South, Manitoba, in 1813. We were part of the third group of the Earl of Selkirk settlers to come to Canada. In 1815, I married my wife Christina Sullivan, also from Sutherlandshire, and we headed east to Upper Canada. We settled here on the south half of Lot 6 in Session 4. My son John married Flora Campbell, who was born just off the shores of Newfoundland around 1824. She and her family settled in what is now called King City in 1825 or 26. Her father was a blacksmith. Together they had a daughter Mary, born in 1872 in Bruce County. In May of 1894, Mary Bannerman married William Thomas Diefenbaker, born in 1868 in Huxville, Ontario. Their son, my great-grandson, became the 13th Prime Minister of Canada. I guess we did something right. As I look over the land around us today, I think of what it was like when we arrived from Manitoba. Trees, trees, and more trees. We had our work set out for us. Not like today when you move, you can have many homes to choose from. There were no homes. First order of business was to erect a dwelling to shelter us from the elements. Now I don't mean a 5,000 square foot home. We were lucky to have 2 rooms, one the kitchen and sitting area, and one the bedroom. Dave Sullivan, buried right back behind us here, told me once that the boys slept in the loft in the winter. Many mornings when they woke, there was a snowbank on top of the bed. You didn't have a bathroom for personal duties, but you had to go outside to the outhouse if you had one. Winter and summer. No insulation like today, just a big hearth, lots of wood to keep the place warm. Cooking was done over the same fire. Second was to cut a clearing and get some seeds planted for winter and food preparation. Not like today when you go to town and have numerous choices where you want to buy food. There were no prepared foods to eat. City children today have no idea where their food comes from, other than in the store. They have no idea time spent to feed the many people in this area today. A big thanks to the farmers who work so hard and get so little for their hard work. The one making the money is the middleman between the farmer and the stores. $1 a pound for pork. I saw this in the store the other day. How do the farmers survive? They hang on for the love of the land and the satisfaction of a good day of work in the evening. Thank you again, farmers. The third thing was to build the church, sometimes used as a school also. The social life of we settlers back then was on Sunday. Saturday night we would get cleaned out and polish our shoes and get our one good set of clothes out to be ready to go to Kirk. It was here we would converse with our neighbors. There were no phones, there were no cell phones to keep us in contact with the outside world. Most families had a crew of children, and they played among themselves. Mind you, we all had chores before the fun came. Everyone pitched in. The smallest learned to burn and collect the eggs for cooking. The older children were in the fields before dawn and after school. It was a way different lifestyle than we are today. There were hardships, there were sorrows. Look in any cemetery, this one included, and read of all the young children lost to sickness and disease. Young mothers dying in childbirth, leaving a husband with multiple children to look after along with the farm. Young husbands dying, leaving a wife to make ends meet. It was a way of life. We didn't know any better. We had our family and our faith. As I look over the lands around this church, I see so much of the farmland disappearing and homes being built on many acres. Farmers are almost a thing of the past. Life is too fast. If we were not careful, someday the world would revert back to the way it was when I was here. Only I don't think the generations to come will be as resilient as we were. They complain the car's not fast enough. The cell phone is too slow. The stores do not have the kind of food they like. I hope they never want the things. I'm grateful for the council you have at this time in what you call now Bradford West Gwillimbury. Far too many councils had no respect for the past generations and their hard work. Many wonderful old historic homes and public places have been torn down to make way for new modern buildings that will not stand the winds of time. The first mud brick home in Bradford and many farm homes made the same way are now gone after 100+ years. Bradford's only Italian design home, most were public buildings in small towns, gone to the wrecking bar after 100+ years gracing Barry Street. Barns that were erected with blood, sweat, and tears. Sometimes your ancestors are now gone and rotting in abandoned fields awaiting demolition to make way for houses and factories. Keep up the good work, Council. In conclusion, I would like to thank you all for coming and remembering us this day. Many generations have come and gone since I arrived in 1815. Most, if not all of us here today are immigrants. Treat your neighbors with respect. We all come here to help make Canada a great nation. Understand each other's convictions and live in harmony together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Ann Campbell, where are you?
Well, thinking of my husband today as we're all gathered at the Auld Kirk in Scotch Settlement to honor his ancestors and the rest of the Selkirk settlers to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the founding of the Scotch Settlement in Bradford West Gwillimbury. Being on the grounds of the Auld Kirk, burying ground, and tap into the spirit of my husband's ancestors, their guts, their grit, their determination. The Selkirk settlers who are truly rooted here and can lay claim, like few others, to changing the world for the better. We hope the Selkirk settlers would approve of our efforts and be amazed after 200 years. People salute their courage and faith. Thank you.
Now, I think there are some people who are descended from the Scotch settlers here that I didn't know were coming today. If there's anyone who'd like to come forward and bring their family greetings, you'd be welcome to. Do I hear a Stoddard once, a Stoddard twice? Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of the afternoon, and please feel free to, for refreshments coming back, there will be a sing-along hymn sing at 3 o'clock back here in the Kirk. We have many, many people that we need to help, and we need to thank today. Thanks, Mickey. We have many people to thank. We have, I've already mentioned, we're very grateful for the town's partnership with the History Association. I'm very grateful to Aubrey, who played the piano, for Alan, who gave up a gig with his band to come here and do the sound system for us today, to James for coming and piping for us, for Miriam, who has done such an absolutely amazing job of covering our events, Miriam King. I'd like to thank, I sound like the awards ceremony. David Chambers and Searle for playing their violin. And I just thank everybody who's helped. Nancy, you've done the refreshments. Appreciate that very much. Now we're going to get to the business part of today. Mickey's going to come and see if she can squeeze some money out of you.
It all doesn't happen just on love. It also happens with hard dollars. And so last year, rather than do cakes and baking and things like that, we decided to create a book of honor. And there were 4 categories that we set up: gold, silver, emerald, and amethyst. And all the donations that we are going to receive, we will be able to give you a tax write-off because we are a charitable organization. And some of the things that we've been thinking about for the Auld Kirk are the lighting, to fix the chimney, to actually get the wood stove burning, maybe put out a vegetable garden, and set the tone for weddings to come, and interpretive center for students to come and learn about the history. And I think that's important, and we would really appreciate any kind of donation. I think one of the most wonderful things that I heard this morning already came from Kathy Reed, actually, and she greeted this gentleman who came into the churchyard, and she said to him, "Come on, we're going to go and see your cousins, and his name's Robert Sutherland, and you've never met him before." So, like, family members are meeting other family members for the very, very first time. So I think that is one of the most wonderful things that are happening today. And Jen is never going to say how wonderful Jen is, so I just want to say that she is our leader, she is our inspiration, she sets the tone for our work. It is always done from the heart, as you can see when she spoke. Like, she's the only one who can bring me to tears. And Bradford would not be Bradford without Jen, so I just want to give a big round of applause for all of them.
I hope you come back and enjoy some music later on in the afternoon, and enjoy some refreshments. And Nancy's made all the cookies herself, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Get to know her.